Here it is, folks, the final season rush. Y'all already know the deal here, so there's no need for intros. I'm a little miffed that they kinda reused the old lesson here, but the story was really good and the flashbacks were done really creatively. This is definitely my favorite season premiere. I tried so hard not to fall asleep on this one. Never has an MLP episode bored me this much. I didn't hate the idea of Daring Do being real as much as other people did, but even when I put that to the side and judged the episode for what it was, it really didn't do much for me. Okay, Sleepless in Ponyville I liked, but this episode I loved. Heartstronger's Horses easily kills every other song in the season. From here on, I actually started liking all the CMC as a unit, and it even gave Rainbow Dash some cool points. The main six as superheroes. I can dig that. The Maniac was also a really interesting villain, although I think the lesson with Spike would have resonated more if they actually started treating him with dignity from this episode onward. And as we all know, that does not happen. Mostly. A weird concept, sure, but it was definitely an entertaining episode, and the song had a nice Nightmare Before Christmas vibe to it. This is what I call a comeback. After being devoid of a Rarity episode for over a year, she comes back with a phenomenal job. Plus, it really redeemed Dave Polsky in my eyes after writing the episode that shall not be named, but that was last season. This is this season. Best pony plus worst pony equals average episode. This episode was alright, but I did not like how it painted Spitfire. While we don't know much about her, I find it really hard to believe that she would just abandon Soren like that. And Fleetfoot sounds like she had one too many cigarettes. I like seeing Discord again. I like seeing Cadence again. Hated seeing Flash Sentry again. But this episode took way too long to get going. Hold on, let me just find my flame shield. I really enjoyed seeing Weird Al Yankovic in this, but he was not enough to save this episode. I really liked his song, but every other song in the episode felt like it was just used as padding to make the episode fill the time slot. So yeah, I did not like the episode. You can feel free to come at me, Pinkie Pie fanatics. I await your death threats. And then Rarity and Applejack kissed and lived happily ever after. What do you mean that didn't happen? Great job, Pinkie. You bore me in one episode and pissed me off in the next. What happened to Fluttershy is sensitive? I guess you just forgot, huh? Okay, rant over. I enjoyed this episode, and it was a nice callback to Season 1 to bring back Flutter Guy. And while I really didn't like the way Pinkie treated Fluttershy in this episode, it didn't anger me to the point where I sent Amy Keating Rogers death threats. Seriously though? Death threats? People, can we be a little more civilized? What? The CMC taking a logical approach to their talents? Blasphemy! But on the real though, you're doing good, Polsky. You're doing good. I'm gonna give you your props. I like the lesson on tough love, but still, meh. Feel the same way about this episode as I do about Apple Family Reunion. I enjoyed the episode, but I think they pushed Applejack's protectiveness a little too far. Having an episode where Applejack is too overprotective of Apple Bloom is definitely a believable concept, but it would have been more believable if Applejack actually had a reason to fret over her sister. As the episode was, her anxiety over her little sister was a little baseless. But still, it was an entertaining episode and it was pretty funny too. Who knew that a relative of Pinkie Pie would end up being one of my favorite characters in the show? It's official. Sweetie Belle is my favorite CMC. Applejack's key episode. Definitely enjoyed this one, but just like in Season 2, the Flim Flam brothers were really underwhelming. Definitely liked the lesson behind this episode, and it was good to see Rainbow Dash get some more progression in her ultimate goal of becoming a Wonderbolt. But Pinkie Pie's rapping... oh god. That had to be the biggest insult to rap culture since Kanye West. It was cool to see Rarity acting as Princess Luna though. I see what y'all did there. Okay, I'm sure this one is the one where Rarity and Applejack kiss and live happily ever after. No? Damn it! Crazy Rarity is best Rarity. And this is the first episode in a long time that actually treats Spike with some dignity. Definitely one of the season's strongest episodes. Let's just get this out of the way. This episode should have been about the games and not about Spike. But with that being said, let's judge the episode for what it was. It was nice to see another episode where Spike is treated with some dignity, and I definitely think the moral of this episode is one of my favorite morals in the entire series. My only true complaint is that I wish that this episode had been like a parallel to the actual Equestria Games, similar to how Just for Sidekicks was a parallel to games ponies play, which is coincidentally also related to the Equestria Games. I don't know, it just seems that an event that we've been building up to for over a year ended up only being a plot device for a character development story. But for what it was mildly entertaining and had a really good lesson behind it. I loved this finale. It was interesting to see Twilight struggle with what her purpose is as a princess, and You'll Play Your Part is one of, if not my most favorite song in the entire season. Discord's arc was interesting as well, and it was nice to see his struggle too. As for T-Rex, he started off as an interesting villain, but by the time he got full size, he lost his edge for me. Part of what makes a villain work for me personally is not just power, but presence. And once T-Rex regains his strength, he loses his presence and just becomes a big burly villain. Also, the Rainbow Power Box was a great concept, but the designs were terrible. Seriously, did the people that came up with these designs ever take a color theory class? All that aside, it was still an entertaining finale that kept me on the edge of my seat. And while Candlelight Wedding is still my favorite season finale, this one comes really close. Oh, and the fight scene was totally awesome, but I'm sure you heard that from a million other reviewers. This was quite the season. It definitely took a while for it to take off, with Flight to the Finish being the first great episode since the premiere. But after that, we have a steady flow of impressive episodes. I definitely like the idea of the Harmony Box. It introduced an overarching storyline while also giving each character, the main six, an episode where they can truly shine on their own. What I really liked about this season is that it took some bold steps and tried new things. Sure, some of those things didn't really work out right, daring don't, but I think that in the end, it did work out in the season's favor. I had a hard time picking which episode was my favorite, but I've got to give it to Rarity Takes Manhattan because that was a major comeback for her. As for my least favorite episode, this season and season 2 are definitely the show's strongest seasons. When I think about which one I like more, it's hard to decide, but in the end, I gave it to season 4 because this was the season that finally made me legitimately like the Cutie Mark Crusaders, who, by the way, killed it this season. For once, I felt like they were consistently treated as actual characters and not just kids. Seeing them do things other than random crusading and seeing them get some actual character development really made them stand out in my eyes. Plus, the season continued what season 3 started and made me like Rainbow Dash even more as a character. I wasn't too fond of how they were treating Spike this season, but they started to clean up their act towards the end. All in all, I had a blast watching season 4, and I cannot wait until season 5 comes out next year. And yes, I will be doing full episode reviews for season 5. So now that the season rushes are over, I will have the opportunity to do individual episode reviews for episodes that have been requested by you guys. In the interest of fairness, I'm only going to be doing one review per person. So if you requested multiple episodes, I'm going to pick one of them to do a review on. In the meantime, let me know what you thought of season 4 in the comments below or hit me up on Tumblr. And until next time, keep it sketchy, folks.